is almost planting season. And what that means is um, that we're going to bring my camera over here a little bit closer so I can see you guys. We're going to get April 1st-ish is usually the time when most of us are planting our gardens. And our garden has been prepped and worked on really well. My wife is a machine. She loves getting out there. She worked on it this weekend while I was gone. I had an amazing trip, by the way. Anybody that was there with us this weekend, all the Fit Body Forever owners and trainers, I love you guys. I had a great time. I can't freaking wait to come back. I was looking at it. Other than the training that I did at Steven's facility with his staff, almost a year ago, that was the only other in-person training I've done in 2 years. Since the shutdown, really, it was great to be in person. I told you guys when I was there how much it meant to me. I really had a great time. So thank you so much. It was special. It felt great getting back on the horse. Like, I was slightly concerned. I was coming into, we were landing, and I just had this fleeting moment of like, do I remember how to do this? And like, the second I got in front of everybody, it just started going again. I don't mind talking to a camera, but being in front of people, there's nothing like it. So getting to engage and just chat with everybody in between, I had such a good time. It was so great. So thank you. I love you guys. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the future, because I think we're going to do more of these. So anyhow, let's get into gardening. April 1st-ish is kind of typically where most people are looking to plant their gardens. Now, I'm not going to pretend to give you some great information about your actual gardening. I will give you some of our gardening tips, which my wife gave me to tell you because she's definitely the one with the green thumb. This is not always the case, though. We have a plant named Seth that was my plant. It was the first thing I ever had that was alive that I needed to care for. That wasn't, somebody else's responsibility. Family dog, everybody else did it. I helped with the dog, etc. Went away to college. My mom bought me a ficus. Okay, I named him Seth. Big fan of Seth Joyner, Eagles, Packers, early '90s. Love the guy. I'm saving the name Peyton. I can't name my plant Peyton when I know I want to name my daughter Peyton, which we did. So Seth, he's about a foot by foot. When we get him, he is now 5 feet by 4 feet outside in our backyard, and I did that shit, baby. That's my plant. And Keeg helped a lot too in the last couple of years. She definitely gives him more attention. But if you go outside and you see this gigantic garden we have, all Keegan. She is so good at this. Will you chill out? We got the whiskers down here with his rope. He's deciding this is time now to play and throw his rope around in studio while I'm live. We've been out here an hour. Now you decide you want to play? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. All right, so the garden out there. I built it. I helped carry all the stuff and bring it in there. I made all the garden boxes. I put in all the soil. I do all the irrigation. I do all the labor. And then Keeg plants everything, grows everything, takes over the labor from there. She does all that. I basically just kind of help get it set up every year, and then off it goes. So we are a very good team when it comes into that. Part of the tips of this presentation is that you need a good team. You need people to know what they're doing. And here's the thing. If you guys have ever gone shooting, let's say you're a gun enthusiast like myself, okay? And you go to a gun range and you don't know how to shoot, you feel like a complete ass when you're walking around in there, because everybody treats you like you're an idiot. They're all like, you don't know what you're doing, and they all like kind of make you feel inadequate because you don't know what you're doing. And then you go to a really good gun range and they recognize that you don't know what you're doing, and there's one person there that takes you under their wing and they teach you how to do it. That's what you need to find in the world of irrigation, because I rummaged around this store for 3 hours trying to figure out what I needed. And finally, someone came over after everyone snickered at me and laughed at me. Finally, someone came over and was like, hey, come over here. You're in the wrong section, dummy. Come over here. These are the things you need. Here's a startup kit. Here is this. And so I was mentored. I was taught what hoses I need, what handles and what little connectors and what glue and what snipper and all this good stuff. Now, irrigation is my life right behind resistance training. So if this ever doesn't work out, I can fall back on that. All right, so we will give you some real plans, because this is a big thing that we like to do in our life. But really what we're going to kind of focus on today are the movement patterns and the actions that you're going to experience when you are out working in the yard, different activities, different, obviously we're not going to be doing hinge high pulls with your soil, but when you are dumping out the soil, you are repeating a lot of these movements. You want to make sure, number one, we're not going to do any more harm to our clients or to you. If you are the client, you're the one that's going to be training. You need to make sure your movement patterns are efficient and that you're doing well when you're going through these movement patterns. There's a lot of work that goes into this. Okay, number one, kid and dog management. There's a lot of management that goes on with the little ones. A lot of holes to be dug, a lot of mattoxing, that is a big pickaxe. There's shoveling, there's scooping, there's carrying, there's dumping, there's pouring, there's planting, there's unpacking, there's repacking, there's trash pickup and tear down and crying, and then a band-aid, and then there's bleeding, and then the band-aid. And this all goes together, and it's a great fun day that you get to spend with your people. Now, this was our little orchard that we planted last year, which looks really, really nice, by the way. Now I'll do some more videos and such later on as we go, but the plants are taking off. They're really looking good, but this was a very, very physical day. There's a lot of action that goes into this, so we want to talk about a lot of the movement components that kind of come in to this as you are doing. The more basic movement actions you're going to be doing, hinges are definitely going to be number one. You're going to hinge a lot. We need to make sure that you're going to be in the right positions for this. You're not going to hurt yourself. By the way, if you're on Facebook and you're asking questions or comments, I can't see you. I am not bright enough on how to run two screens at once, so I will try to flip over there every once in a while and answer any questions if I see it. So hinges are number one. Everything else is kind of a number two, where you're going to be doing a lot of prying. Prying is like with shovel, you shove it in the ground and then you pry it down to, uproot the dirt. Rows and pulls, proper pickups, definitely carries and transitions. And then the 3-point position is the position on the ground in which you are going to be on both knees and a hand, ideally. When we go to the 2-point position, meaning 2 knees and no hands, that's when the lower back becomes pretty susceptible to injury and or improper hinging patterns like you see here, where the back is just round, the knees are locked, and our lumbar is basically taking all the stress. Now, I did pose for this photo. I am the kind of guy that I move wrong once and I'll pay for it. So I'm not in the business of doing these positions wrong. I want to be in good position as much as possible. So you got to think about that. Most common rules or suggestions I can give you is be in that 3-point position as often as you can. Try to hinge as properly as you can, as often as you can. Try to split the work by having buddies, having a system. We have some other clients and colleagues of ours that do like a family field day kind of thing, where they schedule a day and multiple families will come out and help everybody do the work at one house. So at my house, everybody would come and we'd all work, and we all kind of split the work. And then the next weekend we'd go over to Bob's house and we do it at Bob's house and work. And then the next week we go to Steve's house and we do it. And so all 3 families kind of help out, but we split the workload between everybody. And there's definitely some that are better at other things and, et cetera. I'm good at digging holes. I'm good at moving dirt. Not so good at actually growing stuff. I leave that to those that know what they're doing. Injuries that we're going to see in here as well. Neck pain. The head's going to be down and forward a lot. So you got to make sure you're, try to keep yourself in the best common positions. We got to look out for our lower back and our sciatic issues. Shoulder tendonitis, anybody with shoulder issues, you're going to be turning and pulling and pushing, working with the arms a lot. So we have to be careful there. The knee issues, the patellar issues that are going to come about. You have like a deflated balloon in pretty much in every joint is a good way of thinking. Not really, but this is a way of thinking about what a bursitis is in every joint. You have a deflated balloon that when aggravated, it'll swell up, it'll fill up. And that balloon is aggravated, like when you roll your ankle, it swells up really quick to give stiffness and tightness to the ankle to not allow it to move and get out of position again. So it's your body's defense mechanism. And we'll experience that at the knee specifically with a lot of up and down or a lot of twisting or a lot of you kneeling on it. It will definitely kind of swell up and aggravate on you. So something to be considered and to be careful of. Oh, it says that my live session has ended. Is that the case? Why did my live session end? What's going on here? Do I need to start over? It'll be available to watch shortly. Let me pop on here and see. Am I still live? It's a bummer if I'm not. It doesn't look like I am. It looks like I need to start over. Or no, you're still here? I am still here. Okay, why does my screen just says that I'm not? You guys are still seeing me. Okay, Jennifer says I'm still here. All right. Okay. All right, now I got an echo. Let me turn that off. Okay, I'll keep going. All right, I flipped over to see if there were comments and the screen says that I'm done. All right, I almost ended it. I'm glad. All right, so that comes up. I have my phone open now, so if you guys have questions, I'll be able to see them. All right, so along with that, that knee issue, patellar tendonitis and bursitis are going to be two big issues we come about. The carpal tunnel and or arthritis at the hand, any kind of thumb sprains or strains, any dexterity issues in the hand, we're definitely going to see some flare-ups and some aggravation there. Something that's really fun to do when you're working in the garden or working in the yard is if you have a watch that tracks your steps or any kind of smart technology, a Fitbit or anything like that, start it, do an event while you're doing this and see how many miles or how many steps you put in and how much work you put into this. Because you could be out there for 4 or 5 hours and cover in your own yard, in your own garden, you could cover 4 or 5 miles sometimes with the amount of back and forth and all the work, and burn thousands of calories with how hard you're working. So pretty cool stuff to see. You're in the process of creating something that is going to be a very rewarding component for you, but also getting a workout, knowing that that is where we need to kind of keep in as many proper movement patterns and positions as we can as we kind of work our way through this. Okay. Now we're going to see a lot of this, weeding that we're going to have to do. You're going to have to get down and dirty in some of these positions. And this is a standing 3-point. Keegan is just kind of nonchalantly going about this, not really even knowing that I'm recording her while she's doing this, but a pretty good flat back position. She has her 3 points, her hand up on the bed there, working on and right in front of the strawberries. We are just heading out, prepping the area that through the winter is basically just kind of sat dormant. And so we've got some weeds and we got some things we have to clean up. Think of every one of those little bendovers, another bendover. You could have 100 of them, 200 of them in a one work session here as you're going through. Give yourself as much support as possible. Instead of being in the standing bent position, if you're comfortable, get down on the knees, as you see her here on the right. Now, she is in a 2-point position in this, the picture on the right, but in that 2-point position, number one, you could wear like knee pads, or you could put down one of those little pads they sell at garden shops or at Lowe's or Home Depot, so your knees have some padding on the ground. I invested in these really, really nice like gel form-fitting knee pads. They were probably $70. I've had them for 5 or 6 years. Whoa, buddy. Oh, we're going with the ball now. This is too loud. Not this one. Play with the rope, bro. Come on. This is free education 101, guys. You get what you get. Kids and dogs and whatever else come in here. Play with the rope. The rope is quiet. Okay, so you can get on the knee pads. Okay, that's going to be good. Those form-fitting knee pads, they were well worth it. It's such a big investment. They've lasted forever. I really, really encourage you to get those. But notice the counter hinge that she is in, how good her lower back looks in that position. And she's countered by pushing her hips way back. So she's actually in like a tactical frog position to counter the work that she's putting in front of her. Okay, rather than being forward over her hips, directly over her knees at 90 degrees, and then all the pressure is directly in her back to hold her there, if she doesn't have to at least put her hands down too at the same time. So consider that. It's all these little things that we do over and over and over again that could eventually kind of tweak us, that if we're thinking just the smallest little bit of support or a little bit better position, that could definitely help us in the long run. Now, looking at some of the other mobilities, this is a little tactical frog windmill. You can tell by my beard. This was a year ago when I recorded this one. Beard's a little longer now, but I like this. You get this little tactical frog rock back. We can start to kind of loosen the hamstrings, the erectors, and the low back, and then the little reverse eagle, aka a thoracic rotation, that we can kind of add in here. continuous motion, maybe 1 or 2 seconds kind of hold at the end of each range, but really I want to just keep repeating these actions. These are good little primers and little preps before workout, but also before going out to garden. We did say that the gardening is going to be a variation of a workout for you. So there's nothing wrong with doing your movement prep and your menus to go out there and to get ready to move about and carry heavy things and move them around. Okay, you need to address that just like you would any other opportunity to get strong and to move properly. And then some of the other patterns we're going to do, since we are going to be getting things up and down off the ground a lot, not that you're going to stand and balance on one foot and hinge all the way to the floor to pick up something, but in this case, we would like to overtrain for that movement action. A kickstand would definitely be more appropriate in this case, meaning my right foot would stay on the ground behind me, kind of staggered back, and then I would hinge and do a pickup of a bucket or whatever tool I'm trying to pick up or whatever plant, etc. But this one on single leg, nice high hinge, working a really deep range of motion, picking up, 20 pounds or whatever, a little 8 kilo kettlebell. This will overtrain my body in a good way. Okay. It'll prepare me by doing more than I'm going to need on a regular basis, out in the field to be ready for whatever, I throw its way. Now, let's talk about a couple, stop whining. You can go outside if you need to. Okay. We talk about some of the resistance training exercises that I like to apply and kind of plug in to this, pre and in season of gardening that we're getting into. You want to look at all the different positions and the different actions you're going to be doing. Squatting, split stance, half kneeling, levers and hinges and pulls and presses and slams and strikes. Keeping all that kind of in mind, let's consider some of the movements that we can do here, knowing that we might be doing different variations like raking, which if you have a lower back or if you have any elbow, wrist, or shoulder issues, can be very difficult on the body. So training that action in the gym, preparing the extensors of the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder could all be very productive in kind of priming and preparing and building strength to support the musculature needed when we're doing these. Raking is such a challenging action because you're going to be set up in, I guess it's a ipsilateral setup where I'm kind of crossed like that. But you can have the opposite foot forward, the same foot forward, ipsilateral versus contralateral, your dominant arm forward to do more pulling versus the non-dominant arm that's kind of more guiding. It's a great opportunity for you to either overdevelop musculatures and actions that are already overdeveloped or try to equal them up by working the opposite action. Like swinging a bat, I am very comfortable swinging right-handed, but since we're not about human performance and I'm not trying to hit a ball as hard as I can, it would behoove me, big word, behoove me to swing left-handed and try to build strength and coordination on that side. Now, because I can rake really well with my right foot forward and my right hand forward, the majority of the time when I'm out there, I'm actually doing it the other way around because I'm trying to seek muscular quality and coordination, okay, in this muscle action. Knowing again, we're having a little opportunity here to create strength and to kind of, be in a training environment, may as well look at this the same as we would in the weight room, wave to the neighbor. And then when we're going to pick up our tools, especially if you have a bad lower back, okay, I know it looks a little goofy. I know it takes a whole extra second for you to set up for a proper lunge and to be able to lunge down and pick up your stuff and then walk away here like a total tool. There we go. Very good. But it gives you an opportunity, get it, tool, pun intended, gives you an opportunity to settle and take a second and make sure you're not going to hurt yourself so you can survive on to the next day for sure. But the next hole, the next project, whatever the next task is that you're going to move on to. So these load, unload, or basically we call deloaded split squats, where you're able to come down, unload, put all your weight down on your knee for a second, and then return and come back up. A good practical action and practical lifts for you to perform in the weight room. Okay, so here we are with our bag of soil again. We're going to have opportunities where we're going to pick it up, maybe even transition or move with it, but then we're going to have to curl and shake and kind of dump it out after we've cut it open. So some of the lifts that we can do to assist with that are the kettlebell reverse bicep curl and then just the replacement kettlebell squat. Okay, again, too, that I'm a big fan of. I enjoy these these lifts because of the actionable variation, meaning that you can kind of create different scenarios with this in the weight room, but get the same effect. I could do a kettlebell squat to a high pull. I could do a hinge to a high pull. I could use a T-bell. I could use 2 dumbbells. Like, you can hit this same action and build this same musculature in many different ways in the weight room to keep it interesting and creative for your client. So it's not always just the same, okay, the same lift and the same movement. All right. Our next one here is the 6-point position. Okay, getting down now. We've weeded out the bed. You can see all the weeds and all the grass that we've pulled from around it and carried in there. Now it's time to get to work. We got to start chopping. We're going to start digging and pulling and pushing. This 6-point position can be addressed via the 6-point row, or what we call a gardener's row, a reclined row, where you'll notice I sit back a little bit further. I'm on a kettlebell on my right hand, so I'm elevated higher than the fat bell. Okay, that's key to this. You could use a dumbbell and a kettlebell. You could use a yoga block and a dumbbell, something that will elevate you a tiny bit higher so that you can fully extend, if not kind of go a little bit further, a little deeper range of motion than just the equal height on the other hand. Like if I held 2 20-pound dumbbells, my hands would be at the exact same height on the floor. And when I row to return, I can't go a little bit extra. With the kettlebell, it gives me some height to do that. That's key for us here because we're going to be at different heights and different angles working in the gardening box, right? So when you're digging and you're pulling and you're chopping, notice Keith, she's moving around, different positions, digging straight down, pulling back, pulling forward. Look at all the twisting, the turning, the articulation in the hand, the wrist, the changing the angle, okay? If you're 30, you don't look at this and go, man, this is going to make me tired and taxed the next day. But if you're 50 or older and you've experienced this and you're not trained all that well, this is probably going to tear you up a little bit. So these are the little actions that we want to help our clients prepare for. One of the most physically damaging things I have done to my body was post-hole digging. Talk about soreness and talk about injury or damage done to my hands, my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders. I think we planted, I was at my father-in-law's and we were putting up a fence, and I would say we put in, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 posts. And some you could just dig, down under the first, couple 4 inches and then put the post in and then just use the post hole puncher and hammer it down. And others, we had to dig the entire thing because the dirt is so difficult. And almost every other one, we would run into a rock. So you've got basically a post that's, a 2 by 2 inch V, and then a post hole puncher that's like a 3-inch circular case with handles on it that's real heavy. It's a couple pounds, real heavy, but it's a couple pounds that you have to lift up and you slam it down over the pole and it, drives it down into the soil a couple, 2-3 inches. Here, go outside. Go on. Good boy. So we slam it down and you slam it down, and you take, 15, 20 little slams, and then we move on to the next one and we do this hour after hour. Really, really challenging. It's very hard on the body. If you're not prepared, if you're not prepped for this, it's going to hurt. So part of the weight room prep is to assist you in articulating this, getting ready for the slamming, for the kind of the reverberation of it that comes back. This is where battle ropes over a inertia wave is actually a pretty good idea. Another note, this is called a Maddox that I'm swinging here at the bottom. You will see people slam sledgehammers and slam Maddoxes like this really incorrectly. And most of the time they kind of swing it down like they would a baseball bat over their shoulder, and it kind of comes in at an angle, and or they stand off to the side. If you look at me head on, I know it's kind of difficult in the video, but I bring the Maddox all the way over my head, directly over my head, and I pull straight down evenly. This is a really good way to keep even development. The only thing you're going to overdevelop is that you're reaching over your right shoulder a little further back. So it is beneficial to do maybe 20 swings to the right and then start swinging, winding it around to the left. Okay. Let me show you what I mean by giving you a direct here. We use this cue called looking through the window. So you have your Maddox or your sledgehammer. And if you come over the shoulder and pull down from here, you're always going to be twisting, turning, kind of attacking at an angle where if you look through the window, okay, through the window means between both elbows, and then you pull directly down as you're striking. You basically always be in a position, a good sagittal straight striking position, like I would in a sandbell slam or a battle rope slam, something along those lines. So we want to make sure that we're putting you in the most anatomically correct position, the safest position. So when we do perform this, we're not creating more bad habits while training, let alone while then practicing it out on the field. We can get better in the weight room and have that transfer out there technically and both physically in terms of prep and musculature and endurance and all that. Okay. So this is a very difficult one. This is very challenging on the body. I want to use and kind of create opportunities to reach overhead, to throw my hips back, throw my butt back, and create that striking attack, that tension. What I'm not getting out of this is the reverberation necessarily. Now you see on the slams, I can add the wind, okay? Do a couple where I'm just pulling straight down, and then I do a couple where I add the wind in there. Now with the post hole digger, okay, we're getting that big strike and then the pull apart, the big strike and the pull apart. So we have a couple different actions that we can incorporate and include in that. Check out the violence. Look at her go. Look at her go. She's got her game face on. Okay, a lot of slamming, a lot of striking, a lot of impacts. Very hard on the forearms, the hands, the wrists, the shoulders. You're picking up something that's 6 to 8 to 10 pounds over and over and over again. So we got to train for this. Need this. Okay, these are good actions to incorporate. You see how tired the boss gets there. All right, little wheelbarrow action. Okay, wheelbarrowing cute little kids or dirt and soil, whatever it is, you're gonna pick up and then transition and carry away. One of the more difficult actions to do out there because the load is now pivoting on a single action, and you're gonna have to balance and kind of coordinate it. If you have two landmines, this is a great way to kind of practice and train either yourself or your clients to prepare for the wheelbarrow. You put a 10 or a 15-pound bumper plate on each one and then allow them to do some RDLs or even some deadlifts, okay, with a hand in each handle. Little ones running around, maybe be careful of toes. And then from the carry side of things, you get your loaded carries we'll talk about in just a second, where we can practice pushing and pulling the weight. This is called a Lilly Shrug. If you guys have ever done this, watch Keegan's hands here while she's doing this. This is another version. If you don't have a landmine, you can do a hinge and then that external rotation of the shoulders, the wrist, the hands. Basically, kind of go to like a little supinated shrug, like kind of shrug every time we come up. That'll give you that broad position in the sternum, the chest, the external rotation, the stabilizers around the shoulder, a little bit of bicep work, some forearm, the rotation in the hands. Really good with the weight to articulate the different tools that we're going to be using, from the mattocks to the hose to the hammers to the sledges to the shovels. Anything else you're going to be using out there, you're going to have articulation. Think back to when she was in the soil in the bed with the little shovel and the different angles that she was reaching and picking and axing at. This Lilly Shrug is a really good one for that. And then you do little repeats here, right? Just a little deadlifts here. Kids were having fun with me out here and practicing that. You guys could do this with landmines. You could do it with a couple people have like the pit shark kind of variation you could do via the hip. If you don't want to put so much stress around the hands and the shoulders and the back, you could use the pit shark and just load your hips while performing your RDLs. Again, it's a variation and option for you to kind of prep and to prepare your clients for what is to come. All right, here's a couple of pries for us. Okay, we are in a time of year where when you are getting into the soil, it's not going to move all that easy. If you've had a lot of rain, it probably will. We have not, though it is raining right now. Probably make for a good opportunity this weekend for us to do this. But that prying action, that pulling back, there are mechanical advantages to this. We want to make sure that we are training in the gym, getting the actions prepped and prepared as best we can. The joints as prepped and prepared for these actions as we can. And this is one that you don't do all that often. Like, when do you grab onto a huge stick with a bunch of resistance and pry and pull back on it while shoving, shoving with one foot on one foot? And we just don't do this all that often. People wonder why they get so sore and so banged up. Well, you just did 100 times of that and something you never trained for. So in the weight room, we can kind of create some opportunities to single arm pull down. You can do a dual pull arm. We can call this a landmine jackpot. So just a name to remember when you pull the slot machine handle, a little jackpot pull down. This will help with that prying action. and everything else too, from the different variations and the slams, of the violence of striking the shovel down into the ground, to the split squats where we're down on 1 foot and we get that variation of the 1 foot to help us drive, our single leg RDLs as we split a foot, our drop step lunges, like all these kind of come together to help you with this. Probably one of the more dynamic, or the dynamic action that you're going to be doing, I would say, is the prying of the shovel and or the mattocks, the sledgehammer and or the mattocks that you're going to be picking with, digging with. Probably the ones that we're going to be most dynamic, most technical, and the most strenuous on the body. Okay. All right, a couple of tips here to wrap things up. This came directly from the boss. A couple came from me. Number one is use organic, nutrient-rich soil as best as you can. Yes, it's more expensive, but remember, you're growing your food in this, so you want it to be in really good stuff. I don't think it's a great idea to go cheaper on this. And again, I know everything is expensive right now, but I don't think this is an area to skip. If you have the option and the ability to create a what's it called? Somebody help me out. Area where you put your eggshells and your banana peels and all that, and you can re-fertilize your own soil. What's that called? Damn it. You guys, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I'm just not thinking of the word at the moment, but you want to create one of those. We have like an extra a pile out there where we keep it all in there. And basically it's the eggshells and a lot, any of your other fruit that you've eaten, the seeds and the soil, all that stuff, everything go in there. The rinds from your watermelon, pumpkin seeds, all that stuff will go in really, really well to feed back into the soil from year to year. So if you get that organic, nutrient-rich soil to start, and then you can use your God, what's it called? Why am I blanking on the name of this? You can use that to re-enrich the soil year after year. And we usually buy like a bag or two, but initially we bought like 20 bags, right, to get all of our soil. And now we use that, our compost pile. Geez, compost. Thank you. We use the compost pile to bring all that together, put it all together, and then to neutralize. That's not a word. Nutrientize. Maybe that's not a word either. To put more nutrients back into the soil. Okay. From me, tip number 2 is to install an irrigation system, a drip system. Boy, does this save you a lot of time and money. Okay, my tip down at the bottom, systems. I learned this from the Cosgroves, and this kind of jumps down to the one is like using the proper tool for the job. Don't just use a tool, use the tool. It is so worth it. Okay, because more than likely you're going to do the job with a tool that doesn't really match the need, right? And then you're going to end up screwing it up. Then you're going to get frustrated and mad, have to stop, go to the store, buy the original tool you were going to buy plus the replacement part, and then come back and start the job all over. Where had you just gone and got the right tool and come back, you wouldn't have wasted a lot of time and or the money for the extra part and all the frustration. So once you now have that tool, you're prepared and you're ready to use it anytime in the future. My father-in-law is always like, you can just come over and borrow whatever you want. But I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't help me accrue the tools that I need. I'm not going to run to your house every time I need something. I would rather have it here. I need to make my own mistakes, right? And then have the tool to help me. So systems, very important. And the irrigation and the drip system is a big one. It saves you a lot on water. It's very consistent. And then also put some mulch in over that. Okay, we always say mulch that shit, because putting the mulch in helps keep the moisture in there too. It really helps it from drying out. And then any other little critters, stuff like that are trying to get down into the soils and rich, the mulch can help kind of seal things up as it dries after watering and all that. The systems also allow you to travel. So if you're not going out there to turn your stuff on and off, or if you forget one day and all your things get dried out, it's efficiency. Okay, it works really well. And then you can water exactly where you need to water and not overwater, underwater. You fall asleep, you forget it's on, and then everything's soaked, etc. It's just a really good idea. I think it's great to have one of those. We have a couple of them. Rotate your garden beds. That's with every season. This was the first year that we did a winter garden, and we did a rotation with that as well. But as you rotate, like you want to do your strawberries in one year, and then maybe a year or two later, rotate to a new one. A couple of ones that have to stay, like blueberries kind of have to stay because it's more of a plant that's going to root and get bigger and grow. So you don't want to relocate that one. I think the strawberries kind of come back to, it probably wasn't the best example, but like your potatoes, your tomatoes, a lot of these that cycle each year, once they kind of die off and you get rid of them, you can change that, because you're going to have certain plants that are going to bring nitrogen into the soil and other ones that are going to suck it out. And so you want to rotate those so you're constantly kind of recontributing to your topsoil. There's a couple of really good documentaries out there right now about topsoil. Some end of the world-esque. The others are like Biggest Little Farm, I think is the name of it. Really cute, and it shows how like you don't have to have this huge machine of farming, that you can kind of do it all in one location. That includes bees and every different type of plant that you would like to have there, and that the animals that you have, their poop will get into the ground to help enrich in the soil. The soil will then grow the plants. The plants will get bigger, feed us and the animals poop it all out again, and the cycle continues. And then your gross little bugs that get in there and help kind of break up all the stuff that needs to get up. And the animals die. That enriches and goes back into the ground, and everything's on this big cycle. But it's like having all the right things in there to keep that cycle self-sustaining. It's very cool. The Biggest Little Farm, I think that's the name, or The Greatest Little Farm, or something like that. So check that out. And then in the systems, we talked about that. Okay, the right tool, all that, very, very big. I can't express enough how important that is. The tools are big. The kids are getting big. We had such a good time doing this. It's a fun family experiment. Everybody gets dirty. We got to have a great job. And then there's a little butt crack for you. We usually, if it's warm-ish out, obviously not in April, but if it's warm-ish out there, we get to finish everything with a family hose down and have a little water fight. During the summertime, we tend to do that. All right, gang, I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this content and you want more, okay, which I think would be cool, go check us out at trainingtheolderadult.com. My email, robert.linkle at trainingtheolderadult.com as well. You can always email me. TOA Select is my dream come true. It's a website that contains every and all information that I can possibly give of, including a annual continuing education syllabus. Every week I bring in new content and new material. You can go to the website and check out the syllabus there. We have an exercise library with video on every single movement we do. I've got 50 different hinges, 50 different rows, 50 different split stands, 50 different overheads. They're all in there. Tutorials on how to do each one. Not nearly as long-winded as this video. They're very short. They're 1 minute to 2 minutes on each one. I give you cues, progressions, regressions. Okay, there's all kinds of great information in there. We basically record something brand new for you every single week. We microdose a little bit. I tend to keep them around 20 to 30 minutes. We give you a little bit every week rather than 1 or 2 big ones every month that you need to sit for long periods of time and check out. So we have a huge exercise library. I believe there's almost 200 exercises in there now. It's still growing every month. I add more. That's just for the exercise library. We have another 200 in the mobility menu. It includes everything: thoracic mobilities, fall prevention, fascia work, all of this. It's all in there. We have blueprints in there for you, months and months worth of blueprints. We have programming. You get 20% off any of our courses and upcoming events as a TOA Select member. We are NSCA CEU approved, which is accepted by all accredited certifying agencies out there. And then it is a 12-month commitment because there's so much information for you on there. We need to give you a year to get through it all, to absolutely gain the access to the knowledge and the information and the practical. I want you to understand every little bit so you know how to plug it in and how to use it. So I do ask that you commit to that for a year with us to make sure you can get it, because guys, there's a ton of information on there just from this first year, let alone the last year that I did. There's 70 something hours worth of content from last year, all on business and programming and physical limitations and anatomy. You name it, we got it in there. If it's anything to do with training the older adult, we have guests in there. I interviewed my surgeon that did my hip replacements, interviewed Dan that helped me rehab my back and my hips. He's our PT. I interviewed Nick Tuminello. I interview Dan John. I interview Alan Cosgrove. I mean, we've got a bunch of our colleagues and our friends. I did a bunch of interviews last year. We have a bunch more coming this year. It's great stuff. It's what I've always wanted to do, is just have a venue and a place where I could deliver content to you at an affordable rate, $79 a month without CEUs. $99 a month with CEUs. And remember, starting July 1st, that includes TOA Select, includes our course, our TOA Select course, which means it's the method in our foundations courses. Those are included in TOA Select now starting July 1st. So you become a TOA Select member, you can get TOA Select, or excuse me, TOA Certified, basically, not for free because you're paying for it, but with your TOA Select membership. No additional cost. The course is included in your membership. And that's our goal. I want as many people as I can get into this program and get them TOA certified and get you guys out there with the proper knowledge. Everybody comes in and they go, I don't know how to train older adults. How do I get better at it? And what do I do? I'm afraid of hurting them. And so that's what we teach, how to do it, the whys, the hows, the programming, everything that I can possibly think of, we are documenting and putting in there just for you. And I'm always here too. This is not a download and then I ghost. I'm there answering questions and interacting with you guys. I'm your guy. I am there to assist you and I got your back. You see all the different exercises, movement patterns, everything else that we plug in there. All right, that's enough about TOA Select. Head over to trainingtheolderadult.com to see more. I hope you enjoyed this. Garden season, it's here. It's coming up. Clients are getting ready. Send them this and let them take a look and see, hey, here's why we're going to be doing what we're doing in the gym the next couple of weeks, because I know you're going to be planting your garden soon. I want to make sure you're ready. You're not going to get hurt, doing the right movements, getting you prepped. Talk to them about the soil. Let them watch all this. Go out there and watch that documentary, Biggest Little Farm, The Greatest Little Farm, something along those lines. I appreciate y'all. Hope you're doing well. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon. Some news that we're going to have coming up here is we are looking to do a live event here in the TOA bunker with 10 to 15 maybe people and have like a little retreat, but make it a 2-day event. Have you guys come out. We have great places to stay. We have a little campsite. We've got all kinds of hotels that are nearby. It'd be very fun. And have, you know, a small group of folks who want to come and spend a weekend with us and dive deep into this stuff and just get to spend from daybreak to nighttime and dinners and socials and just engage and be with each other and learn some great stuff and share. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're looking to do that. I'm thinking in October-ish, somewhere around in there. We used to do an event called TOA Live, where we would do a clinic like that, and then we would have all the presenters, you know, accessible at a dinner. We're just kind of taking that to the next level. As the last 2 years, we've had it online the whole time. So now I think that we're at a point where people are ready to travel and they're ready to come to events. And big events, we don't get a whole lot of opportunity to engage with each person. So that's where I think a kind of a smaller event like this would really be fun. Maybe we'll do a bigger one in the future, but keep an eye out for that. If you are interested and you want to come out here and maybe observe as we train for a couple of hours with some of our clients, like real people in-house, and then have a couple of days to spend together and learn, I would love to have you. So hit the website, TOA trainingtheolderadult.com. Sign up for the TOA newsletter. That'll keep you in the loop on any up and coming events. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the time. Remember, I can give you back money. I can give you back a product, but I cannot give you back your time. And I appreciate that you invested some of your time listening to me talk. Thank you. I hope you got some good things from this, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye, everybody.